Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a while since you've been on here, but I now have in the studio my dear friend Mackenzie Hughes, who runs Fort Worth Camera, which is my camera shop locally.
Thank you.
And I thought it'd be fun to talk about a bunch of stuff today because you've got some cool stuff coming up. But I also thought it would be fun, because you have an opinion on this, tariffs. The tariffs. Everybody's freaking out.
I wouldn't say it's fun, but
It's fun. It's exciting. No, it's not fun. Well, but it's interesting to me because when you look online, really the only news you're seeing about tariffs are from rumor websites with no sources. It's all hearsay at this point. And you have experience because your phones ring at a camera shop and people come in. What do you know at this point?
we know what we hear. And what we know is what we're hearing right now from our customers. And there is uncertainty.
Yeah.
And there is trepidation. I don't know any other words to really describe it other than people are concerned. We are not as concerned, though. Sure. And sometimes you can't control things. And B, we don't really have any hard evidence to suggest that things will change.
Right.
At least not yet.
Like there's been no official announcements from anybody that you know of.
No, there hasn't. Some vendors, which will go nameless, have preemptively initially raised prices and then immediately taken them back.
Yeah.
For reasons due to the administration or what have you. But we're not concerned. There's enough new product coming into the country that will absolutely sell and people want it. And we're happy for business. We're a small business.
Sure.
And again, some things we can't control, so there's really no sense in worrying about it. But in the meantime, we don't have any real notion things are going to change.
I mean, that's fair to say. It's like, I think the reason I think your opinion really matters on this is because you're really actually on the forefront of it. Like your business is selling cameras and lenses, and you would know if there was some change at this point. It's hard to say, I guess.
Yeah, and the other thing is this. No one brand sources their own product from one country.
Right.
And that's a big thing to understand because, Japan, for instance, may not really be imposed the same way with tariffs as, say, another country.
Right.
And, Nikon, for instance, within Nikon's lens catalog, lenses will come from 3 different countries, and some will be affected and some won't.
Sure.
So as a result, some of those companies aren't really are reserving comment on tariffs.
Well, I think a lot of this too comes down to, like, just an observation on my behalf is that, this is a little bit of an aside, but what we're able to do with cameras and lenses now is pretty miraculous. And a lot of that has to do with manufacturing techniques. And that's boring stuff nobody pays attention to. But, when you're able to actually manufacture something and you can replicate a prototype of a lens that has rail systems for autofocus and all these crazy elements and stuff, and they can do it on a high consistent level. And I remember a couple of years ago, I heard somebody sort of in a higher arching way explaining Apple with the iPhone. And then in the early days, it was a lot of China with that. But when you get into this complexity of manufacturing, like Apple produced those phones all over the world. And the reason being is you can't have an interruption in that flow. The idea is that you could have flexibility if something were to happen. So a lot of that, I get the reason I'm making this point is that a lot of it's just beyond our understanding. They don't ever peel back the curtain and show you what parts are made where or what,
No.
You have a little sticker that says made in Thailand or made in Japan or whatever, but that doesn't necessarily tell the whole story either, But you haven't had any, there's been no camera companies that have said, you still have rebates going on stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. So that hadn't been pulled.
No.
There you go.
Yeah, those rebates come and go, and I have yet to see any sort of disruption upon that. And what the future brings, I honestly don't know, but we have not seen any cause for alarm yet.
So we should panic? Is that what you're saying?
Never panic. Never panic. There's no good sense in panicking.
Nothing comes out of panicking. Well, I love it how people worry about cameras before they worry about like food or commodities or something like that. But anyway,
yes,
priorities, that's the important part. But more importantly, you guys have a big deal coming up, a big sale coming up.
Yeah, and it's, I always confuse irony and coincidence, but
is this the tariff sale?
Yeah, well, we ought to call it the tariff sale.
Everything's jacked up. Is that
Well, on May 10th, 2025, we have our 10th annual Funky Town Focus Sales Expo. So we have a big, carnival of events that runs for almost 10 days. And on the final day, there's a big sale. And usually that's our biggest shopping day of the year, even more so than any time during the holidays. Yeah, it's fantastic. And for a small business, right when we need it. And we normally pull together some pretty exciting, some say crazy promotions on our own end, and that's on top of what a manufacturer would offer anyway.
Yeah.
So it's for the consumer base, our customers, it's a big savings. This time around, I mean, I don't know, but just like
anything can happen between now and
but just like any sort of problem, there's no sense in worrying about what you can't control. But what we can bank on is that if we're dealing with tariffs, we're also dealing with a whole lot of new product. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing what is coming down real soon.
So speaking of Funky Town Focus, and for those who don't know, so you came on the show a couple of years ago. And the reason I'm saying that, because we do have a funny story about this.
Oh.
This was right. It was not at the beginning of COVID, but it may have been 2021. We were still kind of.
It was right after people are emerging from it. So it was a year after it.
And you and I got like totally annihilated in the comments on that video because we were not masked up. Even though
we weren't masked up. We're sitting shoulder to shoulder, and someone didn't like that.
We were distanced. The camera makes it look,
Pardon me. We were more than 6 feet apart.
Yes, sort of. But anyway, my point is a lot has changed, and people probably don't remember the video. It was a while ago. At the time, it was Fort Worth Photo Fest.
Yeah,
it's been rebranded. We have not talked to you since, so I want you to talk a little bit about Funky Town Focus.
I don't mind talking about the rebranding, and there's a method to that madness.
Sure. Oh, I think it's cool. Well, first of all, for those who are not in Fort Worth has many nicknames to the city, one of which is Funky Town. So that's where that comes from.
Yes, it is.
And it is funky.
It's funky the way we like it. Fort Worth Photo Fest went for the first 8 years as Fort Worth Photo Fest. The whole time I was trying to diversify it a little bit, add more than just photo, because photo is a smaller portion of the overall imaging spectrum.
One piece.
Yes. Yeah. And I wanted to add more videography, content creation, printed imagery, a showcase on that, but always a showcase on the participants. And there was a competing, they weren't competing at all. There was another organization with a similar name. And they, after a long time of coexisting, they finally decided that they didn't want to be associated with our name. I went back and said, hey, weren't we cool before? Now we're not cool. They said, okay, well, we will be cool. And then back again. And they finally said, no, here's a cease and desist.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was involved.
It was. And,
ouch.
And we, as a small business, big festival, small business, we said, okay, fine. But the truth of the matter is I wanted to rebrand anyway. Funky Town Focus. Yeah. It gives us a lot of flexibility to offer more.
Well, you did Fort Worth Photo Fest for 8 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good chunk with pandemic in there too.
Yep.
Which is cool. But I mean, I did not know the backstory on that before we started recording. But what's cool about it is though, I mean, what I've seen you do with it is an opportunity to rebrand. And you have 4 galleries going on during this thing?
4 photo galleries.
4 photo galleries. So these are like little exhibitions you can come look at great work.
Yeah, and those are only 4 events out of 40 events going over 9 days. And that is an exercise in, it's just proof that we're trying to offer more stuff.
Right.
And in this case, 2 of these galleries happen to be at legitimate art galleries, Art Space 111, Fort Worth, and House of Neville.
That's very cool.
And then the 2 other galleries, one of which will be Billy Bob's Texas.
Oh, wow.
Couldn't be more Fort Worth. And
no.
and at our own photo gallery inside the store, which is sponsored by Sigma.
Very nice. And so also the other thing, like these are 4 or 40 events you mentioned. Fort Worth, the Photo Fest previously, and now Funky Town Focus. I mean, it's a cool thing that goes on, and like they take over all these things. I mean, it's kind of spread out all over town. There's an event at the Amon Carter Museum, which will be that's the Abaddon.
Yeah, it is.
Base deal. So you can come down, and there's going to be
so essentially a giant photo booth for the entire community to have their picture taken in the style of Richard Avedon
with the Americans.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that'd be very cool. And then you've got some video events and some other things that.
Yeah, there's a whole content creator block on the final day before the sale. So Friday, May 9th, a whole day, most of it taking place not far from here at Red Studios, the backlot studio at Red Productions, with content creators, marketing teams, even software people. We have a guy from Adobe coming in.
That's gonna be great.
Topaz will be there, and a really very, very popular online content creator named Clinton Avery Tharp, who has kind of a delightfully twisted sense of humor, but ultimately he uses his visual storytelling on social media to educate.
Yeah,
and he just happens to be educating about furniture thrifting and resurfacing and stuff like that.
Well, that'd be fun. And we flying the bomber this year. Is that
we
happening?
are, yeah. That's
a staple event.
That's right? A staple. We do that every year. So we go up in a World War II era cargo plane, the C-47, and take pictures of a World War II styled model ahead of time, and take people on an aerial photo tour of Fort Worth and Arlington.
It's gonna be fun, man.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be cool. No, that's like one of the signature events.
It is the signature event.
And does that plane live in Fort Worth?
It does live in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
At Meacham Airfield.
At Meacham, yeah. Very cool. Mackenzie, thanks for coming. You guys, if you want more information, I will put links in the show description below. I'll shake your hand too.
Yeah, thank God.
I'll leave you hanging there.
Leave me hanging.
But I will put links in the show description below. But
it's
funkytownfocus.com, I believe.
It is funkytownfocus.com.
And people fly in for this thing. It's not just, I mean, it is a local event, but it's a big enough deal where people will come in for this thing. It's a lot of fun.
10th annual.
Yeah, 10th annual. All right, man. Appreciate you coming, and check him out. Till the next video. We'll see you guys later.